Yet another Ultrabook arrives. This is the Toshiba Z830. Now, well, the first thing that caught our eye when we got it out of the box was the fact that it looks a little slimmer than most of the other Ultrabooks around, and it definitely feels a lot lighter. Now, this was verified when we checked out the weight statistics of all of this. This is 1.1 kg, which is a little lighter than even the MacBook Air 13, so well done Toshiba on that one. Looking at the build quality here, on the top this is the brushed aluminium finish that looks quite classy. Could have done with a slightly smaller Toshiba logo here, but that's bringing a bit of shine to the otherwise greyish look. Opening it up, this is the 13.3-inch display. When we switch it on, you'll notice it's got a matte finish to it, so that's more comfortable to use in most scenarios. The grey finish continues around the keypad as well. The brushed finish here, but this is like a plain finish. The bezel around the display also has a plain finish to it. A bit of chrome on these two sides, probably just to add a little bit of shine. If on the visual element side, this could possibly be the ThinkPad of the Ultrabook world. Now, why I say that is because of the looks are very understated for the most part. There's nothing really standing out. It's got a similar color feel to it throughout. But what really worries me a little is that this area here around the touchpad looks a little confusing. Now, why I say that is because, well, we appreciate the idea of separate right and left click keys, but the integration of the biometric sensor in the middle of that just adds a little clutter to it. When you switch on the laptop, you'll realize a bunch of LEDs here showing you the power status, the battery status, the Wi-Fi connectivity, etc. Now that just adds a little too much to this particular part of the laptop. Apart from that, everything seems well laid out. The keypad is very comfortable to use. The power button is, and a couple of quick access keys here. Rest it's all clean. What you'll notice here is that a part of this keypad is slightly lower, more stretched out than the rest of it. Now the arrow keys here, as you can see, they're on a lower platform than what you see for the rest of the keys. So this might take some getting used to. As far as port placement is concerned, you've got the mic and the 3.5mm headphone jack here, along with the SD card slot. Nothing else there. We have the USB 3.0 port here on this side. Interestingly, all of the other ports are on the back of the laptop. Now this takes me back quite a few years when I purchased my first laptop. It was a compact in the early 2000s, and it had all the connectivity options on the back. Fine, it does take some getting used to. Some people say it's a little uncomfortable. They prefer ports on the sides, but I assume Toshiba was already thinking on the lines of utilizing this space here, which is always going to be thicker because of the display hinge, and utilizing that for the ports instead of making the sides thicker. There's a cooling vent here, which is channelized well with the fan here. Now, if you notice from the side, the fan kind of sticks out. The fan design kind of sticks out here, and you will feel it when you're placing it on your lap unless you're careful about it. And the best part is to be a little careful when you're placing this on your lap, because you don't want to block this, because the laptop tends to become really warm even when the fan is working at its full speed. Could have done with a little more cooling vents, I suppose. Switching it on, this has a 128 GB SSD. You'll notice by the Windows boot time here that it's quite quick, and that is why SSDs are becoming the flavor of the day. There we go, Windows is now logged in. If you remember, I had mentioned that the display does not have a reflective quality to it, which you can now notice here. A very good thing, because like right now we are sitting in an office environment, and there are lots of ambient lights around, behind us, above us, and on the reflective display all of these will be quite annoying. when you're using the laptop for quite a long time. On this one, it's quite nice. You'll also notice how bright this display is. It is currently at 70% brightness, and it's more than bright for most of the user scenarios. I think we'll have to turn down the brightness a bit when we start using it in detail. The text is very crisp, but this display will lose out a little in terms of video playback because the black levels are not very deep. Just to take you through the specs a little bit, this comes with a Windows 7 Professional 64-bit edition pre-installed, 6 GB of RAM, complementing a Core i5 processor clocking at 1.7 GHz. If you remember, we had praised the build quality of this particular laptop earlier in this video, but there is a little niggle that you'll have to be careful of. When you're using it on your lap, when you're typing a little furiously around here, you can notice the display moving around a little bit. There's a lot of vibration in the display. You'll have to be a little careful that it doesn't really strain you out because your eyes will be focusing again and again. Now, to see how this Ultrabook compares with the other ones, you'll have to read through our review on thinkdigit.com, where we're comparing this to all the other Ultrabooks around. As far as the build quality is concerned, it looks very classy. It's built well to a certain extent, except for the display vibration that we mentioned while typing. It looks quite good. The only little problem is at 96,000 rupees, this one isn't really far superior to, let's say, the likes of the HP Folio or the Dell XPS 13 or let's say the Macbook Air, if somebody wants to check that out. It's the pricing bit which is going to hurt this laptop. Apart from that, it performs very well, as you'll see from the benchmark comparisons that we are doing on the website, and overall in terms of performance.